when we got to the record shops, we introduced ourselves, and they went, "Oh, we've been waiting on this stuff.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? And who's distributing?" And we're like, well, we're self-distributing, we're self-pressing, we're self-manufacturing, and we literally just took a car and drove around every record shop in Scotland and top of UK and top of England, the northeast, and just put records in the shops ourselves. So we
Nice.
were selling records quicker than we could manufacture them.
Wow.
Sing me another melody because I think I'll die before I hit the ground. Sing me another melody, sing it out loud, sing it to be free. Sing it to be free.
Hi, welcome to Echo Beat Podcast. Today we sit down with Kirk Turnbull, the powerhouse producer, label owner, and one of the creative architects behind QFX, a group that shaped electronic dance music culture with an unforgettable legacy. From production mastery to independent business leadership, Kirk continues to innovate and elevate talent and push boundaries in the industry. How are you doing today?
All good, thank you, and it's good to see you again.
Yes, it's good to see you. Welcome back on the show. It's always exciting to see you and see what you've been up to. Yeah. Yeah, okay. So question one is, QFX is an iconic name in the dance music scene. What do you feel was the defining moment that cemented your sound and identity as a group?
Um, it's a difficult question because
It's
we're
another,
talking 35 years ago. So
yeah,
um, I think we were just lucky. Luck had a lot to do with it. We were just in the infancy, the first few years of rave culture, dance, underground dance music taking off in the UK. So I think we just had the market at the right time.
yeah,
And I mean, it was just so happened that I'd been toying with dance music, before I'd even got into
yeah.
clubbing and doing stuff like that. So when I first started the band, I wasn't really a clubber, as they say. I was more of a producer in a bedroom making music that didn't have an outlet for it.
Okay, okay. And then you're like, okay, let me try this. Yeah.
So it made the the going from a bedroom producer to an actual artist was kind of thrown in at the deep end because you got a couple of gigs and then people started hearing your music, and luckily for me they liked what I was doing, and the sound that I was making was very unique. Why it was so unique is there's lots of things you could say. Probably the music that I'd listened to in the past 10, 15 years before that had been you know, run of the mill commercial pop music. But I was also a great fan of people like Jean Michel Jarre and Kraftwerk, and later on Depeche Mode and OMD and stuff like that. So I came from listening to what would probably be classed as early pioneers of dance. You know, those guys really kind of push the limits, OMD and Tears for Fears and all these kind of people that were in the 90s that were making electronic dance music, Howard Jones, people like that, making it in their bedrooms. And, some of them more professionally and some of them, just as I say, bedroom artists like myself.
That's nice. That's nice. When you look back at the early days, what inspired the signature production style?
Definitely those guys. I mean,
Yeah.
I was heavily influenced. I think production wise, probably listening to a lot of Stock Aitken and Waterman material, because the production on those early Stock Aitken and Waterman records was just phenomenal. If you listen to them in your bedroom and then you listen to them in a nightclub, they just transgressed both areas perfectly, and that was obviously because the Stock Aitken and Waterman production facility in London was a phenomenal production facility, and these guys were cutting edge with what was about at the time. So they definitely influenced on my production style, and certainly probably influenced my arrangement style. But again, you had people like Jean-Michel Jarre, who was an early pioneer of electronic dance music and electronic music that really influenced me.
Okay, nice, nice. Um, what was the biggest challenge in taking QFX from a local act to a global recognized name?
Hard work. That was the,
I
the,
was,
the biggest
yeah,
challenge. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I think because we didn't have a label, as such a major label, it was all about grassroots. So in one way, it really helped because we weren't reliant on the big label money and the big label attitude to releasing records. We just made the records in the bedroom, and then we decided to set up our own label and just press the records and go to the shops. And obviously, because we've been out, playing these music in clubs and nightclubs and at events, rave events, people were already waiting for the music. So when we got to the record shops, we introduced ourselves and they went, "Oh, we've been waiting on this stuff.
yeah,
Where did it come from? And who's distributing?" And we're self-distributing, we're self-pressing, we're self-manufacturing, and we literally just took a car and drove around every record shop in Scotland and top of UK and top of England, the northeast, and just put records in the shops ourselves. So we
nice.
were selling records quicker than we could manufacture them,
Wow. Wow, at least you
which was
did it
great.
yourself. Like very inspiring. Yeah. Um, as a producer, how has your creative workflow evolved over the years? Like, yeah, especially the workflow. Like, is it more or less or
Yeah, I mean, back in the day when I first started making music, I was young and I was hungry, and
yeah,
music was my life. I was literally coming home from work and spending 5, 6 hours, 7 hours working in my bedroom studio, making music, and then going back to work. And then, even when I was at work, I'd be writing songs while I was working. And then eventually I got to the point where, when I was full time doing music, because I had no job, I'd lost my job because the industry that I was in was winding down. Just making music was everything. So you were trying everything to make music. You were trying everything to make your production better, learn things, and I think nowadays people have got such a great advantage nowadays because you can learn how to do just about everything in music online now on YouTube videos or on tutorials. And I think that's such a great thing. And for any young people out there that are wanting to get inspired and wanting to make music and new beats, there's a world out there on YouTube and on courses that you can just learn exactly what you need to do to make something sound good and
yeah,
produce a beat, get inspired.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Um, do you start with melody, drum samples, or does it change depending on the project?
Yeah, very much can be dependent on a project. Usually, when I'm working on my own material, I'll be writing the the actual chords and lyric first. So if it's
Okay.
a song based thing, I would be more writing it on the piano and then transpiring that to a production sound, a dance sound, or whatever genre I was aiming at.
Okay.
Um, but it's very easy to get inspired by beats and sounds now, and So I don't kind of limit myself to one way of writing. I would definitely, dependent on the project, if I'm working with another artist, I'll work with them to find, if they don't have a song and we're writing from scratch, then we would kind of just work around a piano or a guitar sound. If it's an artist that has something that I'm producing, then I would then listen to the song and decide how it should sound in my head, discuss that with the artist, and then produce it with the artist in mind.
Nice, 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 nice. Which piece of gear or software has generally changed the way you produce today?
Oh, I think if you're going to say that about gear and equipment, it has to be software for me. I've been a Cubase Steinberg user for since they first came out with Steinberg Pro 12 and then Pro 24, which was over 30 years ago. So I
Is it
think
software for mixing, like mixing the music?
yeah, Steinberg are definitely the most. In my book, people say Logic and people say Alberton Live and all these kind of things, but I think Cubase is one of the most phenomenal pieces of software, and I think it's very the things I can do now on Cubase. I couldn't even dream of them when I first started working with that software because it was so different. I mean, it changed my life when
Yeah.
when we moved from making music using tape machines and making early sequencers to actually being on a computer and being able to see what you were playing and what you were making was a huge difference. So even 30 years later, I'm still using that software and I'm still finding it so creative. And I think nowadays the program is so advanced that you can't even, unless you spend your life on it, you really can't even scratch the surface of what it can all do.
So much going on. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
and they just integrated a new piece in Cubase 15 that allows you to do vocals, which is really good, which is unusual because you just play in the melody, type in the words, and then it sings
Oh,
it. So
okay.
this is the latest thing in Cubase 15. So it's not quite like the AI generated vocals because they use the actual um, syllables and pronouns and stuff to make the singer sing. But it's great being able to do it straight off the bat
Yeah.
inside the software.
And do they use like a real vocal to develop it, or they just from scratch?
I don't know if no, I think it's synthesized. I think it's all synthesized. I don't think it's actually
Okay.
using vocal samples,
Okay. Okay.
which is good because I mean I've got nothing really against AI making vocals and for actually helping make a vocal sound better, but
Hmm.
I do have a problem where we just chuck something at an AI and then it spits back out and it's
Oh,
a
it's bad.
finished song or a finished record. I believe that's yeah. I think it gives people a false sense of hope,
Hmm.
because literally they're throwing in some lyrics into an AI and asking it to make a certain genre of music and it spits it back out, and they're like, oh well, I did that. Well, the computer did that. Whereas if you're physically having to do it yourself, program the beats, program the melodies, play the melodies, and then sing the melodies, write the words. You're learning a skill that's far beyond anything an AI can do.
Right, 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 right.
So I'm all for using technology to make music better, but we have to be very careful because it is affecting how the industry looks at new musicians.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Pure Effects tracks have a very energetic feel. What's your secret to keeping that energy consistent in every project?
I think that's just my style. My production
Yes,
style
yes.
is all about making people happy when they listen to the music, uplifting them, taking them on an emotional journey, whether it be with the melody or the sounds or the melody of the singer. Or I mean, obviously, I do music that's not just about uplifting, ballads and stuff like that. But I think the connection is always trying to connect with your audience, trying to make people understand an emotion that you can get from music. You
Yeah.
know, it's such a great thing, music.
Yeah, music is everything. Universal language. As a label owner, what qualities do you look for in an artist before signing them?
Um, I think one of the most, I mean, obviously the music is important, but obviously the person as an artist,
Yeah.
whether they are, you know, a good person, and whether they've got a belief in music that's similar to mine, are they doing it for the right reasons? Um, because the music industry is so hard now to make a living that I think it's really important to bond with your artist to get a feeling that they understand what you're doing and what you're wanting to achieve with their music.
Right, right, right. Um, how do you balance being a producer, a performer, and business owner at the same time?
Very difficult.
Very difficult.
Yeah, it's a very big juggling act.
Yeah, right?
I mean, I suppose now um, my life is more structured. I think structure is a great thing to have in your life, um, especially in everyday life. I mean, obviously, I've got a family, and
Mhm.
I've got to juggle my time with them, with the studio, with music, and with touring and stuff. I mean, I don't do as much touring personally myself now.
Right.
Only a few big shows a year, and the band, they still do the other shows. Um, so that helps me be in the studio more. I mean, obviously, I've been on a kind of journey in music again for the past 4 years, when getting into Dolby Atmos and spatial audio. It is really the future of music in my eyes, because it is so much more meaningful to hear everything around you rather than just in front of you. Um, it's so yeah. I think it's a difficult job. You've got to balance it, but you've got to always remember and enjoy it.
Yeah. Don't forget the passion. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what is the hardest part of running a modern independent label in today's digital landscape?
Um. Well, the hardest thing about a label, and an independent label nowadays, is the music industry, commercial music industry, is really not interested in having independent art labels. They really don't want us to be here. They don't want independent labels to succeed. Um, the industry's changing a lot. I mean, even since we did our last chat, the industry has changed yet again, and become something far worse than it was even then. I mean, what's going on with Spotify at the moment is killing music. It's killing artists' creativity. And I mean, I'm actually not putting any more music on Spotify ever again because of their new terms and conditions. I mean, the new terms and conditions state that if you upload your music to their site, they can do whatever they want with your
Oh,
music now.
yeah, 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 yeah. They can even train their AIs and all this stuff with it.
Correct.
Yeah,
But the worst thing about it is, as well, in their terms and conditions, they take away your rights to, like, they can make another piece of music with your music, and they don't even have to credit you.
yeah, yeah. You get nothing from.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's not about the money side of thing. It's about the what we call the intellectual property is being
Yeah,
stolen by Spotify. They're then using your music, and they're training AIs to produce music. Then they're filling their playlists with the AI music that they own, so that they can get a bigger slice of the revenue, and that everybody else out there is, is basically struggling. I mean, the day where artists can't make a living off of Spotify, off streaming, is here now, and the only way for people to understand to change it is to stop supporting companies like Spotify. Yes, it's convenient. Yes, it's cheap, but there is other companies out there for a couple of dollars more. They'll give the artist a fair royalty. They'll give the artist a fair chance. And obviously, because the major record labels own so much of these big companies, they have massive shares in Spotify. They have massive shares in all the streaming companies. I think bar Apple. We have to say to our fans, if you really want to support our music, please listen to it on this platform, or please do what I think that for the future independent artists, we've got to make our product and sell our product direct to the
Direct, yeah, from your
to the
website.
customer.
Yeah,
And we've got to give them value, but we've also got to give them something unique and special. I mean, that's why I'm trying to push, individual products to my super fans. Is, if they want a individual T-shirt that's just for them, that can be done now. It's so simple to do now. Whereas, you don't just get a T-shirt that's the same as everybody else's. You get a specific one. You get a piece of music that's geared to you, or a playlist that's geared to you. I think, as for the future new artists, they need to be looking at being as independent as possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not that there's still a place for collaboration with certain companies. I mean, I'm working with Duetti, an American company, now, and they own a lot of my catalog from previous years, but they're a company that's actually showing me that they want to support my new music. They want to help me grow as an artist, and they want to engage. And because these guys that own Duetti, they're very high up. They used to be, one of them was an Apple executive, and the other was a Tidal executive. They know how the streaming industry works. They know how the marketing works. They've got the best people doing the best job to try and help the catalog that they've got, the artists that they've got, grow and be more prevalent. And I mean, obviously for me, it's that comes, okay, they're helping me, so who do I help? So I try and help other artists that are signed to the label.
Nice, nice, nice. Um, what do you think today's producers misunderstand most about longevity in the music business?
I would say, I don't know if they don't understand it. I think, obviously, if they're new to the industry, they think that signing to a label and getting a big advance and stuff is the way to go. But to be honest, if they can grow their fan base and be closer to their fans, they'll definitely have a better longevity, than if they sign to a label and got a big advance. And then, I mean, literally all they're doing is they'd be better going to the bank and getting a bank loan because that's basically what they're doing when they sign to a label. The only difference is a bank can't promote them, whereas a label, if they've invested money, they will try and recoup that investment. But the artist always ends up getting the raw deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, the artist needs to, for longevity, they need to try and connect with their fans more, and try and stay loyal to their fans.
Yeah, yeah. Has the rise of TikTok reels and short form content changed how you market new music?
Yeah, I think it has to. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to be at the forefront of social media, whether it be TikTok, Facebook, or any of these other social platforms. I think the biggest problem is with these platforms, especially Facebook, is it's about monetization. It's about them making as much money off of your product as possible. I think that's, unfortunately, capitalism is taking over in the music industry, and that goes for social media as well. They're all trying to you know, do something, but it doesn't really benefit the artist that much. It benefits them a huge amount and the artist a small amount.
Yeah, yeah. What's one thing you wish you knew when you first entered the industry?
Sorry.
Uh, what's one thing you wish you knew when you first entered the industry? Like something that you didn't
Um,
that you knew and you're like, damn, I wish I knew.
I mean, obviously, production. There's a lot of things I wish I knew production wise that I've learned over the years.
Yeah.
But I would say the more business wise, um, just trying to stay loyal to your brand. Try to, you know, set your brand beliefs and stick to them.
Okay.
I wish I knew that. I wish I knew certain things about publishing and, you know, holding on to your publishing rights and holding on to certain rights as an artist. Um, those kind of things you wish you knew when you were younger.
Okay. Okay. Um, how do you keep QFX legacy alive while still innovating with a modern sound?
Very difficult. It's very difficult to break new music. I mean, I've got such a strong back catalogue on music that trying to make new music is very difficult because a huge amount of my audience, grew up with my music. They grew from young adults to being, married family people to being grandparents. And I think it's very difficult to make new music fit these people because these people kind of want that memory of what was going on in the 90s and, the 2000s. And I think it's very difficult from that point of view. But it's still not. It's still you still just try and write music that you love and hope that they love it too.
Yeah, yeah. Do you feel like electronic music today still carries some of the spirit from the rave era when QFX started?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's young people making music now that are, you know, they're making incredible pieces of music and things that I wouldn't even have dreamed of or think of even now. You know, I think the technology is so good for them that they can do so much more and be so much more creative. Um, there's definitely music breaking dimensions and breaking sounds that are totally unorthodox and yet
Mhm.
at the same time sound amazing. I really believe in young artists and I hope that they can believe in themselves enough to do what we did and try and pioneer a new sound.
Nice, nice. Um, what role do fans and live shows play in shaping your new projects?
I think, yeah, obviously, when I play something new in a live show, it's a good point to view it and see if it works and
Uh,
see literally how it. I mean, when I first started doing it back in the day, you were writing a song on a Saturday and or midweek, and then on a Saturday or a Friday, you were going out and playing it in the clubs. And as an artist, I was looking at the crowd and seeing how they responded to bits of the music and how they didn't respond to other bits. And then I'll go back in the studio the following week and change it and then go back out and play it again. Whereas nowadays you don't have that privilege. You can go out and you can play a piece of music and you can see it, but it's a much longer process now, because we're not doing 4 or 5 gigs a week. We're doing 1 gig a week, 2 gigs a week. It's a lot harder, but yeah, your music and your live shows definitely help with what you're writing and producing.
okay, nice, nice. Um, is there an artist or producer today you'd love to collaborate with?
Thousands.
Thousands, thousands, of course.
Yeah,
Such big names
yeah.
out there, yeah.
I mean, I love some of these new guys in dance music. I love some of these new artists and you know pop music is what you would call it, or modern music. If it sounds good and I like it or it's interesting, yeah, I would love to work with so many people.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's exciting to work with new people.
Yeah. Um, what up and coming projects or releases from the label are you most excited about?
Um, I've got a record that I'm doing with a friend of mine, David Morale. That's with Natasha T. That's a really great track. I've got another track that I'm doing with Natasha T. For next year. That I'm really excited about. Got another track with two Moorish lot, Craig and Debbie. I'm really excited about it because it's a new song that we wrote together, and I
Yeah.
think I think it's better than the last one they did, which is hard because I really liked the last one. I think this one's got more depth.
Yeah.
I've got other projects that I'm working with. I've got a woman called Jacqueline, and she's kind of more rock based. But the two tracks that we've written together are really fantastic pieces of music and fantastic lyrically, and so I'm looking forward to getting those tracks finished. And then I'm just looking forward to, my plan is the start of the year to be finishing off the new album for QFX, working on Dance Anthems Volume 2, and, doing more live shows to support this music.
Nice. Okay, what you sort of mentioned just then, but what can fans expect from you and QFX? Like,
Well,
the,
a lot more music,
yeah,
hopefully a lot quicker. We hope
okay.
to have the new album out um, second half of the year next year. I'm really going to spend, the first 6 months finishing off the album and obviously working on Dance Anthems Volume 2, Volume 3 is to be completed for 2027. And then there's going to be probably one more album after that. So really, in the next 2 years, I want to try and have 3 to 4 albums released
Wow.
on new material, and then I want to then take a step back and look at other projects that I've had sitting for a long time that I want to finish off.
Okay. Okay, nice. I want to thank you for coming on the show, and hopefully you'll come back when you're releasing all the different things you mentioned, and we can stay updated with you.
Yeah,
God bless. Thank you so much. Let me stop the recording here.
thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Sing me another melody, because I think I'll die before I hit the ground. Sing me another melody, sing it out loud, sing it to be free. Sing it to be Never thought that growing old would kill me. Never thought that being last would thrill me. Always believed in being good to the core. Never thought that I would need any more. 'Cause only the good die young, and only the young die free. Fortune favors the brave, so brave is what will be. Sing me another melody, because I think I'll die